Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar entitled A Recap of KubeCon Europe 2024. My name is John Bristowe. I'm the Community Director for Octopus Deploy. Thank you for your time and attention joining us on this webinar today. This is going to be a bit of a different webinar because it's not going to be as technical as other webinars we've done in the past. However, I thought that this was a great opportunity for us to share with you the sights, the sounds, the information we saw, the information we gathered at KubeCon Europe in Paris just this last week. So as always, with every webinar, these are already recorded and they will be posted up on our YouTube channel, so you can feel free to watch it after the fact if you wish. This is a live event, so feel free to ask questions using the Q&A pane. We have a live Q&A pane. You can ask questions and we'll answer them here in the stream. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So this is a recap of KubeCon Europe 2024. We had a lot of fun at this event. This was our first time in Paris for myself and for others, and we had a great time attending this event, and I thought I'd just share with you some of the highlights. So the event itself was attended by about 12,000 folks. And it showed. There was a lot of folks at this event, and a large contingent of them were from Europe. So we had to practice our French and obviously execute that very well. Being Canadian, I have a lot of background with French, and so it was great to kind of dust off my French skills and use those. But the reason why I wanted to share this information was because 12,000 people is a lot. We talked to a lot of people at the event. We talked to well over 1,000 individuals at our booth alone, and we had a great job. We had a great time doing it. And if you ever had a chance to go to KubeCon, I would definitely recommend it. This was an event that we sponsored on the first day. This was Platform Engineering Day, and this was our booth at the event. Platform Engineering Day was a great event for us to kind of showcase what we felt around this. You may notice a few items here that you might be familiar with. Of particular interest is Matt Casperson's new book called DevX as a Service. We printed out some copies of this and we made them available to folks. We also had a copy of our new white paper called A Leader's Guide to Kubernetes CD at Scale. Both of those are available through our website. You can take a look at our website and check it out there if you'd want. We had some of the traditional swag that you'd commonly associate with Octopus, which is great. In addition to that, we also had Kirsten deliver her session entitled UX Principles for Internal Developer Platforms. We actually hosted this as a webinar recently, and so you can watch this up on our YouTube channel if you're all interested. But she delivered this session at Platform Engineering Day, which is great. In addition to Platform Engineering Day, we also hosted ArgoCon. So ArgoCon was part of the first day events as part of KubeCon. And if you want, there's well over 25 videos featuring folks from the Codefresh team, Dan Garfield and friends, talking about everything Argo. And so if you're all interested, you can check it out there. And Dan's session was a particular interest for me. So Dan was one of the folks who helped host this event and talked a little bit about the status of Argo, where we are, where we're going, etc. And during that time, he also talked about Codefresh. So he talked about the fact that they maintain Argo, that they're the #1 enterprise Argo platform. They have been so for a long time, and that they have the #1 certification program for GitOps. They have well over 22,000 students as part of that. So it's great. If you're all interested, you can check out our training, which is available through codefresh.io. They are also looking to double the amount of contributions in 2024. They are hiring. So if you're all interested, if you're an engineer who would like to make a contribution to Argo, contact Dan. I know that he'll be keen on talking to you. Incidentally, he also announced the fact that in Q3, we plan to release our level 3 GitOps training and certification. So if you're at all interested, you can check that out again at the Codefresh site. And most importantly, we now have our badges up on Credly. So Credly is a common site you'll see a lot where people display their badges, and it's great for showing off. It's a small flex, but it's a great way to show what you know. These were our booths at KubeCon. So you can see on the left we had our Codefresh booth, and on the right we had our Octopus Deploy booth. And you can see both were very colorful. I was really happy with the way these came off. Just to kind of show you some highlights here. Our brand or message to this audience was Kubernetes CD at scale, and I'll show you a demo of why this was our message. We have a lot of features in Octopus that we felt were relevant to this audience, and I'll show you some demos of that. This was a little cue card that we gave out to folks showcasing what was available for that. and we had a lot of attendees during our visit there. We were on the show floor for 3 days, 3 very long days, and that's why I kind of looked a little tired at this point. But we had a bunch of demos running in the background. We had a lot of great conversations with folks, and we were chatting with them about a whole bunch of things, which was awesome. It was great to really connect with customers and talk to them about a whole bunch of things. We had iPads going, showing off our demo. You can see in the back there on the TV, I was doing a demo, our Octopus 101, which you may have attended in the past. We were showcasing that as part of the demo, which was great. We had some great conversations, I said before, on our iPads, talking to customers about what Octopus Deploy is, how it works, etc. And so what I'd like to do is kind of showcase a little bit about what we demonstrated at KubeCon. So let me just go ahead and stop the presentation here for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into my demo. So through the magic of software, let me just go ahead and bring this up. All right, there we go. So I know folks who have seen this, you've seen it before. This was one of the demos that we were showing off quite a bit. So if you go to our samples instance at samples.octopus.app, you'll see a live instance there where you can kind of kick the tires yourself. But one of the things that we were talking to customers about was, integration with Kubernetes, how and why we do the integration vis-a-vis Octopus with Kubernetes and Kubernetes related technologies. So traditional sort of scenario, etc. For those who haven't seen Octopus for a while, or maybe haven't updated their instances, this is the new sort of look and feel of Octopus relative to your projects. So we now have on the left-hand side a whole bunch of categorizations. So this is different. Usually we'd see a breadcrumb at along the top in older versions, and now we've moved that over to the left to give you a little bit more real estate, which is great. When you take a look at a deployment process, this hasn't changed. You still have your kind of top-down sort of view. But what's interesting about this, if I go to edit a existing deployment process, we now have our new process editor sort of view. So we have our well on the left-hand side, which allows you to modify steps individually or reorder them. But in this section here, you may not have seen this yet, but there's this new sort of step template design. The folks on our design team have done a really good job of making this available to you. Now we have all these categorizations along the left-hand side here. So you can see if I'm interested in Kubernetes, or if I'm interested in Terraform, or one of the cloud native providers here, I can go ahead and pick one of those. And we surface out these really nice new step template design features, so you can get a sense of what the steps are, how they work, and why you might want to use them, which is great. So community steps are still there. We still got a lot of other traditional sort of models, but this is something that we were showing off as part of KubeCon Europe. We were showing folks how to deploy a Helm chart, which was very popular. We were showing how folks to deploy Kubernetes to Kubernetes and changes via YAML. We showed how to do deployments via customize, just to show you what this kind of looks like. If you're deploying via Helm chart, this still looks the same. So all the typical sort of properties and options you have available. So in the case of a Helm chart, there's a bunch of upgrade options that you can specify. You can specify template values as well, which you can also provide through Octopus variables if you're so inclined, and also some connection properties associated with Helm itself. So that was one of the options that we had available that we were showcasing folks. We were also showcasing how you can do deployments, raw YAML deployments to Kubernetes. And you can see inside here, we have a whole bunch of configuration options. So you can specify as part of a deployment to Kubernetes up to 5 different resource types. So this is great if you're deploying to Kubernetes, or if you're looking at utilizing various aspects of Kubernetes itself. So taking a look at deployment with Kubernetes here, you can see all the various options that we have available. And so these and other options were basically something that we were talking to customers about, and we got a lot of great traction in terms of conversations there, which was great. But I just wanted to showcase kind of like what we're showing to customers during the event, the new design, the new process editor, etc. I think customers really kind of, there was a lot of nodding going on when we were explaining the integration with Kubernetes via Octopus Deploy, which was great. And that was certainly an experience that we thought was great. And as you can see, we saw a lot of great customer interactions as part of the event itself. I was really happy to be there, and it was really great to talk to customers directly. Over on the Codefresh side, now you may notice this. This is Colin actually taking a photo of an attendee raising one of the giveaways that the Codefresh folks had, which were lightsabers. They had these lightsabers. These were tremendously popular. It was unbelievable. But what you may not notice also is that over here, you'll notice that our booths were side by side. We would like to say that this was intentional. So we had our booths side by side next to each other. So for anyone who wanted to talk to us about Argo or GitOps or something. We were talking to them about that at Codefresh, and if anyone was wanting to do traditional or hybrid deployments or deployments in other means, you'd send them over to the Octopus side of. So it was great. It was a really good way of actually showcasing sort of like together at last these two approaches to doing deployments. So on the Codefresh side, we had some great interactions there. We had a big sign here showcasing Argo, which was great. And of course, Dan Garfield, who's the VP of open source at Octopus, kind of took over the stage and was giving away these lightsabers, which was great. He was doing some chants, some crowd interactions here. When I say Argo, you see CD. So there was a lot of stuff going on. You can see these was tremendously popular, just to give you a sense of what the show floor was like. We had a lot of great vendors around us as well. So some potential partners, for example, or partners as well who were there. It was really great to see the interaction that we had there, which was awesome. And Dan, of course, was giving away had to speak up. It was very loud on the trade show floor, which was funny. And these were immensely popular, which was great to see. So some pictures of the folks over on the Codefresh side. It was great to connect with them. This was actually our first event with Codefresh since the announcement, so it was great to connect with them. And I think we might have to bring some lightsabers ourselves for some future events. These were so popular; it was unbelievable. And what was really cool about these is that you'd hit them and they would make the lightsaber sound and all that stuff. So it was great. We also did some extracurricular or additional activities as well. So we invited some of our top customers to join us on a boat. This was a 2-decker sort of boat, and we cruised along the River Seine in Paris, which was great. I had never been to Paris before, and I was blown away by the architecture. We had some great conversations there. This is us going underneath one of the bridges along the river here. And we had a really great time connecting with customers and talking to them about deployments and also non-work related activities, which was great. The highlight of my trip was obviously floating by the Eiffel Tower. This is a night scene, obviously, of the Eiffel Tower itself. And it's amazing. You can see why it's a city of love. It's absolutely magical. Here's the Notre Dame, which was amazing. And so, yeah, really had some really nice memories developed there. So moving on over to KubeCon itself, what did we see? What did we hear? So during the keynote presentation, we saw a lot of information around a lot of topics. So during one of the keynotes, the CNCF provided an update on some of the projects that they saw. The number one the number one project in terms of activity is Backstage. So Backstage is a very popular product, which we'll talk about in a sec. You'll notice that KCL, Argo, Dragonfly, Prometheus, etc. These are other tools used heavily in this ecosystem. We heard a lot about that, but Backstage in particular was it wasn't surprising given the amount of activity I've seen in Backstage, but Backstage itself is really popular. For those who don't know what Backstage is a project that was brought to the CNCF by Spotify, and it's basically an internal developer platform, or what we call an IDP. And this is basically a portal used by your development team that allows you to provision projects quickly, that allows you to do things as far as turnkeying, kickstarting projects, or doing builds, or CI/CD integration. Incidentally, we actually have a plugin for Octopus Deploy that was built by a member of the community. You'll see this exposed in the CI/CD tab inside of Backstage. And so if you're all interested in finding out more about this, you can go to backstage.io. We've written about this extensively. I know folks like Matt Casperson over at Octopus Deploy have talked about this, and I've done some dabbling in this, which is great. The videos themselves are all available up on the YouTube channel. So if you go to the CNCF page, the channel up on YouTube, which is at CNCF, they have well over 100 videos from the event. So I think it's like 350 now videos from the KubeCon Europe, which was great. Some of the ones that I thought were really interesting, the sessions that I saw, and also the ones that I watched after the fact, I'm going to mention here. So this one is entitled "Building Container Images the Modern Way," and Adrian did a really good job of explaining the various ways in which you can create container images. So the traditional model using sort of Docker and the APKD and various other tools. He also did mention Dagger, which I was very pleased about, and also build packs, etc. So this was a great session. And so if you're all interested, this is available up on the YouTube channel. If you watch this session, we'll give you sort of a what's latest and greatest in terms of building container images. And the modern way, your mileage may vary, but there's a lot of ways to do this. And given some of the innovations around containers, which is great, like chiseled containers from Canonical, etc., there's lots and lots of traction and movement here. And there's ways in which to get these images down to a really small size with minimal CVEs and really great ways to build these things. So I was really pleased by this session. Incidentally, Dagger was at the event. I got to chat with these guys. If you don't know anything about Dagger, you owe it to yourself to check them out, dagger.io. These guys were right across from us. So literally right across from our booth was Dagger, and I was really happy to see them. Dagger is, the way I like to describe it is portable pipelines. So they provide a means, because they are hosted on the same technology used for Docker, they allow your pipelines to be portable, which is awesome. And the reason why this is powerful is because obviously, you know, when you get tied into a CI pipeline, that stays within your CI pipeline, unless you're using a technology that is abstract from that. But this allows you to host your pipelines locally as well as remotely, which is really useful for debugging. In addition to that, they also tout the ability to write these pipelines as code. So YAML is, I guess, okay for a lot of folks, but some folks want to do it via code, and there's ways to do that, and they provide API SDKs for doing so. This is not a new idea. We've had, you know, pipelines as code for a long time, but this is yet another way of doing this, which was great. And again, they were right across from us, so I had to chat with them, which was awesome to see them. Another great session that I saw was this one entitled Open Policy Agent Introduction to and Deep Dive. This was by Anders and Xander. They did a really good job of explaining OPA, or Open Policy Agent. For those who don't know, Open Policy Agent is a way of describing policy as code for your cloud native environments. And the reason why I'm a big fan of this is because I think policy is a really good way of configuring your systems and enforcing rules essentially across those systems. There's there's a huge host of integrations available there. But I saw this session, and I saw these folks, and I was really pleased to see so, because I think that there's a lot of traction around this, and I think that we'll start to hear more and more about this as we go on. So this was a very popular session at KubeCon. Again, if you want to find out more, you can go to openpolicyagent.io, I think it is. You can just search for Open Policy Agent, you'll find it there. Another session that we saw, or I saw, that I thought was really interesting was this one on cloud events. I've been talking about cloud events for a while. Basically, Klaus talked a little bit about what these things are. It's a means of describing a event-driven architecture in a common way. So this is not a new idea, this idea of propagating events from systems, but cloud events is a way of doing this through a common set of patterns and also a taxonomy defined by a registry. So cloud events are, the reason why this is useful is because oftentimes integrating with systems through a push means can be challenging. And so this is something that I think is a really interesting session. This is available on the YouTube channel you can check out. A derivative of this is called CD events. We've talked about this before at Octopus. So CD events is a specification for continuous delivery events, and this is something that's being worked on right now. And so I was really encouraged by this to see this derivative talk based on cloud events. So if you're interested about the how and the why in terms of cloud events, this session is available up on YouTube. You can check it out there. But if you're looking for a derivative of that is specifically for continuous delivery, you can take a look at CD events, and there's a website for this, which is great. Just wrapping up a little bit around some of the things that we saw at KubeCon. They're celebrating 10 years of Kubernetes, which is great. There's an event that's coming up on June 6th that you can check out. It's called Kubernetes, I guess it's called, the birthday bash. This will be hosted across various locations around the world. It's going to be based out of Silicon Valley, but this will be a virtual event, and I'm sure you'll hear more about this. And then wrapping things up in terms of the KubeCon side of things, we saw a lot of excitement around the future events. So this was announced on the third day. London, Amsterdam, Atlanta, and Los Angeles. So if you're in one of these locations, good news, they're going to be announcing events soon. So hopefully you'll be able to take advantage. I would encourage you to take advantage of this if you can. KubeCon is a wonderful event, and I just realized that I'm not... oh, there it is. Sorry. KubeCon is a wonderful event. I would strongly encourage you to do so. Take advantage of that. And with that, as they say, that is a summary of everything that we saw at KubeCon 2024 in Europe. I had a really great time, and we'll obviously talk a little bit more about our support for Kubernetes. If you're at all interested, you can find out more on our website, both at octopus.com and at codefresh.io. We have also a bunch of activities coming up in the future, so this is not the end of your webinar experience. If you're at all curious, you can check out a lot of webinars we have available coming up. So if you go to octopus.com/webinars, this is today's webinar that we have here. Soon we'll have Bob talking about streamlining deployments, lessons learned from building a paid path for 150 developers. We have another event here, which is top 3 deployment patterns from Alex and Ships. And then April 9th, we're seeing a lot of popularity around this event, introducing the Octopus Kubernetes agent. So we'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing around Kubernetes on April 9th. Join us for this. You can register today. We'll be talking a lot about what we're doing relative to the Kubernetes agent. This is available up on our roadmap as well. As always, we have our monthly 101 series featuring myself, which will be on April 11th. And then our white paper, which we've recently published, this was written by Bob and Kit, we'll be hosting a webinar about this. So on April 23rd, you'll be able to watch the Bob and Kit talk about this and ask any questions that you have about that, which is great. So that wraps up today's webinar. Short and sweet, non-technical, but hope you got something out of it. We had a great time in Paris, and hopefully we'll see you at an event coming up. We will be at KubeCon North America in Salt Lake City. So if you happen to be at Salt Lake City KubeCon later in November, looking forward to seeing you there. Until next time, we'll see you on the next webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Take care.